Hi, my name is Anne Kirk. I'm the cereal specialist with Manitoba Agriculture and also MOA board member. So this year, Manitoba Organic Alliance, in conjunction with Le Milanese, who's a wheat miller in Quebec, have put together an on-farm wheat variety trial with 3 organic farmers in Manitoba. So this is really exciting because it actually allows us to test how these varieties that were bred for conventional farmers perform on organic farms in Manitoba. So, when varieties are tested in the variety registration system in Canada, they're tested on in conventional research plots. So we get a good idea of how these varieties perform under conditions of conventional fertilizer, fungicides, nutrient availability, weed control, but we don't really have a good idea of how they perform under organic field conditions. So there is some small plot research happening with the University of Manitoba for a number of years, and also on organic wheat breeding with Ag Canada in conjunction with the University of Manitoba, but this actually allows us to see how these varieties are performing on large plots on farmers' fields. So this is a large plot trial. You can see we're standing in a field. When these trials are set up, it's done so that the length of the strip is the entire length of the field, so in this case about half a mile. And the width of the plot is wide enough so that we can do at least 1 combine pass per plot. So in this case, there was 3 seeder passes per plot. So the seeder went, back and forth a couple of times, and there's 4 replicates in the field. So we have 5 varieties replicated 4 times across the field. So that gives us a good indication of how these varieties perform. If we were just having, one variety on half of the field and another variety on another half of the field, we wouldn't be very confident that the differences that we're seeing are real. Whereas if it's replicated in large plots across the field, we can have a good idea once the yields come that the differences that we're seeing in yields are actually real differences. So this project, we have 5 Canadian Western Red Spring wheat varieties that were chosen for this project. We have AAC Brandon, which is the most commonly grown variety on both conventional and organic farms in Manitoba. So we wanted to include that. Cardale, AAC Redberry, AAC Starbuck, and AAC Tisdale. So some of these are newer varieties that some farmers wouldn't have a lot of experience growing, and it'll be good to get an idea of how they perform. So I'll just hold up the varieties. We do see some slight differences in, maturity, the size of the heads, heights, which we are recording throughout the growing season. So the first 2 varieties that I have in my hand, we have AAC Redberry here, Cardale right here. Cardale is always distinctive because you can see the red stems, and that's just a characteristic of one of the parents in the breeding lines that were used to create Cardale. So it is kind of nice that it's distinctive in the field. The other 3 varieties here, we have Brandon here. The next variety is Tisdale, which you can see is a bit more mature. And then AAC Starbuck is the last variety. So just, looking at these varieties in the field, it's kind of nice to have them side by side and see, what the maturity looks like, the heights. And I'm out here today. Today I'll be doing disease ratings on these plots to look at FHB and then leaf diseases if we see any differences in the plots. Okay, so for this trial, at the time of seeding, we did take soil samples just to get a baseline understanding of what nutrients were in the soil. A couple weeks after seeding, we looked at plant stands and early season vigor. We're also looking at plant heights, lodging, and disease ratings. At the time of harvest, we'll obviously be collecting yields with the weigh wagon because that's an important measurement for farmers. We'll be collecting fairly large subsamples that will be sent to Le Milanese mill in Quebec, where they'll be milling those samples, looking at the quality characteristics for baking, and actually baking loaves of bread out of those samples to see, how these wheat varieties and these growing conditions fit within their milling and baking needs. So stay tuned to the results of this project, because it'll be really interesting to see, what we see for yields and how these varieties do in organic growing systems. So this trial here that I'm in, definitely the best looking this year just because of the moisture that we've seen. So, it's been a tough growing season across the province. This part of the province, we're just south of Brandon, has received, a good amount of moisture, and the crops are looking pretty good. The other two trials have a bit more drought stress, so we will actually get to see, how these varieties respond in different growing conditions as well, which is important. And I just wanted to say thank you to the sponsors of this project. So this is a project funded by Le Milanese with sponsorship from CCAN and Alliance Seed.